the members of the media, Comrade 2 Provincial Coordinator, Comrade Mabuya Kulu, colleagues who are here today. Thank you once again for joining us in this media briefing of the ANC. We intend not to be long because we have started a bit late. We apologize for that. It was circumstances that we had to respond to before we attend to this media briefing. We'll allow Comrade Mabuya Kulu ukuthi asifundele a statement of the ANC. Then we'll allow questions. Then we'll take it from there. Thank you, colleagues. Ndiema, over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Mashase. Good day to you members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, and good day to the people of KwaZulu-Natal and by extension the people of South Africa. The African National Congress KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Task Team convened this press briefing to share critical updates on organizational renewal, governance interventions, and strategic development across our province. These statements reflect a catalogue of the PTT's achievements, our commitment to transparency, as well as progress made as we rebuild our movement and prepare for the 2026 local government elections. Hosting of consultative regional general councils. In preparation for the National General Council scheduled for the 8th to the 12th of December 2025, all ANC regions will host the Regional General Councils this coming weekend on the 30th and the 31st August. Due to ongoing rebuilding efforts, the RGCs in KwaZulu-Natal will adopt a consultative approach by including a diverse range of stakeholders to strengthen the bond between the ANC and communities. These councils will engage with the NGC-based document, evaluate organizational performance, and prepare branches for meaningful participation. The regions will utilize the RGC platform to present their programs of action. They will also present their 6-week program that must detail the nature of the events, the venue, and the time of those events. The PTT will be presenting the branch task team guidelines to all of these RGCs. We will also present the roadmap towards the BGMs and the BBGMs, as well as the regional and provincial conferences. Members of the National Executive Committee of the ANC, who will also attend these RGCs, will be deployed to facilitate these engagements. And the main engagements, the way they will be tabling, they'll be tabling the base document for the National General Council in December. The KwaDukuza matter. Following the PTT's decision to recall the mayor and the deputy mayor of KwaDukuza municipalities, the interviews for replacements have been done and finalized through the Secretary General's office. That part of the process is now finalized. We're now working on the logistical issues that will see the matter serving before the KwaDukuza Municipal Council for a decision. The ANC appreciates the patience and calm of the people of KwaDukuza, as well as the political parties who have given space to the ANC to conclude its internal processes. Umkhanyakude intervention. The ANC believes that an amicable solution to the instability caused by the unlawful imposition of Section 139(1)B in the Umkhanyakude District Municipality is very close to attainment. It is now common cause that legally the intervention lapsed on the 25th of July 2025 because there was no concurrence by the Honorable Minister of Culture. The ANC notes with concern the instability brought about to the municipality by this reckless act and the tensions which escalated when the Absa Bank froze the municipal account, delaying salary payments. The imposition and the continued presence of the so-called ministerial representative in the person of Mr. Bambandwandwe, continues to disrupt the smooth running of the municipality. This presence of this imposed intruder has effectively meant that the municipality cannot access its bank account. It cannot pay workers' salaries, its service providers, and honor its daily service delivery commitments to the people of Mkhanyakude. The ANC is fully behind the council resolution to accept the Section 154 support for a period of 3 months out of conviction that the municipality had addressed the bulk of the issues which were the triggers that necessitated the earlier Section 139(1)B intervention before the latest one that did not succeed. To this end, we call on the Honorable Premier and the Executive Council to accept the Mkhanyakude's Council resolution for Section 154 so that we can put an end to the presence of Mr. Bambandwandwe and bring stability to the municipality. The PTT reiterated the ANC's position that the MEC for Kokta should be reined in as he is overtly abusing his portfolio and position to target ANC municipalities without any sound basis. In Impende municipality update, a 2-person task team investigated the removal of an ANC mayor via a vote of no confidence that enabled by ANC councillors by abstaining. This was followed up by a visit of the officials of the ANC to Impende to engage with ANC members and the community that was covering the 5 wards of Impende. The ANC recognizes the instability caused by this void in leadership and is urgently finalizing the process to deploy a new mayor who would be someone from outside that will bring in stability, who would appeal across all the communities of Impende and unite the community as a whole. The ANC will be instituting disciplinary action against some of its councillors whose abstention caused the vote of no confidence. It has now come to our attention, both at the regional and provincial levels, that certain individuals are perpetually convening a meeting of ANC branches for this afternoon at Impende Community Hall. We give a stern warning to ANC members and supporters to know that this meeting is an unsanctioned meeting, and that any member of the ANC who would attend such a meeting is risking summarily suspension or facing severe disciplinary action. The Nongoma municipality update. The ANC lost coalition leadership in Nongoma after the EFF shifted support to the IFP. We also noticed at the same time that some of our councillors did not attend that said meeting where the ANC lost the vote of no confidence together with its coalition partner, the NFP. In this regard, disciplinary action will be taken against ANC councillors who failed to attend the crucial council meeting where the ANC was removed. The ANC is still committed to cooperating with the National Freedom Party in Nongoma and other municipalities. The outcome of Lindy Lenyaga disciplinary hearing. Comrade Lindy Lenyaga faced 6 charges of gross misconduct during her tenure as mayor of KwaZulu-Natal, and after a thorough disciplinary process, the Provincial Disciplinary Committee found her not guilty on all counts in August. The establishment of the branch task teams. Following an extensive and intensive verification process of our membership and branches, the ANC has acknowledged that in certain instances where the BECs are out of term or non-functional, branch task teams must be established to build the movement and ensure readiness for the upcoming local government elections. To this end, the PTT adopted guidelines for the establishment of PTTs. This process is critical to revitalizing grassroots structures and enabling full participation in the upcoming conferences and elections. Our comments on MEC Francois Rogers. The ANC finds it repugnant the utterances of the DA leader in the legislature and MEC for Finance, Mr. Francois Rogers, where he is, in our view, abusing his position by politically targeting ANC-run departments and by issuing a public threat that he will place the Department of Transport under administration as he has done with the Department of Education. This posture cannot be left unchallenged because at the core of it, it is about how the government of provincial unity should function. Roadmap to conferences. The PTT was established on the 25th of February 2025 with a mandate to stabilize the organization, reconnect with communities, and prepare for regional and provincial conferences. Its task also, it was to prepare for the forthcoming local government elections. The PTT adopted a program of action on the 3rd March 2025, outlining 3 phases of our work. We are now deep in phase 2, focused on finalizing membership verifications, activating branch portals, and preparing for conference participation. We're now concluding this 2nd phase of our program of action, and we're therefore embarking on the 3rd phase. This phase also entails strengthening the ANC's election structures, and the primary deliverable of this phase is hosting successful BGMs and BBGMs, also hosting regional and provincial conferences. To this end, the PTT adopted a roadmap for these conferences. The regional conferences are now projected to be held in the weekends from the 9th of November to the 23rd of November, while the provincial conference is earmarked to be at the end of November 2025. All efforts are now geared towards hosting successful conferences that will reflect the will of our members and once more reposition this glorious movement as the people's movement, as it has always been the case for the last 113 years of its existence. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Comrade Tundiyema. Can we then take hands? We'll take the first set of 3, and then we'll take the second set, if there is a second set or a follow-up. We have number 1, number 2, number 3. Ngizobuya ke second set. Yes.
So, I'll pick up for what you said. Maybe I'll tell you. So, you're saying so was lost because some it did not attend. So, but before EFF shift sites, so what would the issue? So, speak away. So that has been hanging for quite some time. So, Moshawake from last year, right? So, I've been asking the ANC, okay, where is it? They said, was that policy? Then the answer was that I don't know, we're dealing with the matter. So, from November up until the council where the ANC was removed. So, what was going on? What was it that the party to remove the speaker?
Right. Yes? Number 2?
My name is Clive Ndo from the Witness newspaper. My question is around the government of provincial unity. In the statement, the ANC provincial coordinator expressed unhappiness about 2 members of the DPU cabinet. I was just checking whether does the DPU have any sort of dispute resolution mechanism so that issues where there are misunderstanding or opposition can be addressed? Because what we see is that almost all the parties in the DPU, when there is an issue, they use an outside platform internal dispute resolution. And my other question is on the follow-up from Kungula around Nongoma municipality as well as Impende. From the coordinator statement, there was an element of ill discipline and the failure to adhere to ANC guidelines and protocols, which requires them to be present when these significant meetings are being held. So this actually creates an impression that the ANC provincial leadership is not holding, the center is not holding. Maybe any comment on that?
Okay, number 3.
I am Lucas Milena from my wardrobe. My question is solely based on the leadership of the party. Aren't you afraid of the losing of the voters, because we may address this because the party has lost supporters and this has been below average. So what are the action plans regarding the issue of the election next year?
Okay. DM, I think there are 3 questions. One is the issue of Wanongoma, why we did not implement step aside at the time when the then speaker was arrested. The second one is about the GPU, whether we do have a dispute resolution committee that is able to deal with issues of dispute amongst political parties that are part of the GPU. Then the issue of Impendle, where we are purported not to have the center holding. At least we are the center there.
Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start with Impendle. In our statement, we make it very clear that when a vote of confidence was passed against an ANC mayor in Impendle, that vote of confidence was passed by the opposition. What our councillors did in Impendle was to abstain. And the ANC is taking issue with the abstention. And we are simply saying that the councillors acted outside of their own mandate by abstaining. Now, it's important that we've explained that they had been given a very clear directive by the Regional Task Team, the RTT, the convener, and the regional coordinator of the Regional Task Team were there. Part of the task of the RTTs is to oversee and to monitor the functioning of municipalities. So, there can be no allegation of a center not holding in that regard. The second matter relating to Nongoma, we must put the matter in its proper context. There were arrests that were made against the officials of Nongoma. In those officials, our deployee, the Speaker of Nongoma, was one of them. For the purposes of fullness, the mayor position was belonging to the National Freedom Party, the deputy mayor to the Economic Freedom Fighters, the EFF, and the ANC was holding the position of Speaker. So there were 3 parties that were governing Nongoma by cooperating with each other. When those arrests were made, effectively then there are internal processes of the ANC. We then have to initiate those processes as soon as the PTT came into office on the 25th of February this year. At the time when we came into office, there were certain matters that we were to deal with so that we are able to ensure that the processes, we don't sleep and wake up, And we actually just do things without any proper consideration of matters. So it was not an issue of dilly-dallying. It was an issue of following our own internal processes of ensuring that we deal with this matter. Of course, it is now common cause that the ANC has a step-aside rule. And there were unique factors that we have to deal with in Nongoma, which were internal, that actually necessitated that we should consider certain matters internally. Hence, there was some delay. But this has nothing to do with the manner in which, for instance, how we lost Nongoma. We're not attributing the losing of the position of Speaker to our own councillors. We're taking an issue that our councillors did not attend the meeting of council, not because that would have altered the conditions. And we're very clear as the leadership of the ANC. We're not impugning that our own councillors caused us to lose the issue of the Speaker of Nongoma. We lost the issue of the Speaker of Nongoma because one of our partners, who occupies our own ESCO seat, the EFF does not qualify to have an ESCO seat in Nongoma. The ANC had taken one of its own ESCO seats and had given to the EFF. Now, when the EFF then decided overnight, after we had a lot of engagements with them, that they would actually partner with the now party that now governs, they are now governing Nongoma together with the others. That is why we lost in Nongoma. We are taking issue that our own councillors, some of them, did not even attend that meeting. Not that because we would have averted the losing of Nongoma. So we're not attributing that, so we're very clear as the leadership. So I think let's put the issue of Nongoma into that perspective. It then therefore comes back to the last part. Again, I must emphasize, there is no issue of the center not holding. The coordinator and the deputy coordinator went and met with our own caucus in Nongoma. They also met even with the caucus of the National Freedom Party, a joint caucus, because we wanted to deal with issues of governance in Nongoma, and we are committed to do that. The last part is the issue of the forthcoming local government elections. We are very clear that our task of renewing the ANC is not only focusing in rebuilding the structures of the ANC, the branches of the ANC, having regional conferences, and also having a provincial conference. We are also talking about taking up the people's issues. The ANC exists to serve our people, and that is the main cause of why we exist as the ANC. And part of the reason why we lost the elections, we now have analyzed those reasons. We now have had our own local government alliance summit that took place on the 21st, the 28th and the 21st of June. We also have recently had our own election strategy. So the ANC has its own strategy, its own plans how we're going to fight the elections. So we're not finding our hands in the dark. So we have crafted our own battle plan. Now, there is nobody who goes to war and diverge the elements of their battle plan. You only reveal them in action in the battle itself. Let's wait for the battle and let us look whether our battle plan was as good as we think it is. And we can say with a lot of conviction that we have a very good battle plan.
Let's take the second set of...
The GPU, we must understand that we are in a government of provincial unit. As leadership of the ANC, we understand that this is a tactical site of struggle. In other words, you are not in the GPU with allies. You are in the GPU with those whom you should cooperate, but on the one hand, you are also competitors in the political game. So the ANC leadership understands this. And we're in it because we have the greater interest of our people. And we want to see stability in this province. And we believe that the four parties that constitute this GPU, all of them are also driven by this overarching interest of creating stability, of ensuring that the province of KwaZulu-Natal continues to serve her people with decency, but also in the manner that services are rendered. It is to be expected that at times there will be the divergence of views, and there is nothing to write home about that. We have structures of the GPU. All what we are asking that those structures of the GPU have to take root. We have the so-called Daily Management Committee, which is meant to be dealing with the issues on a day-to-day basis. So we are actually going to be urging our partners in the GPU that we formalize those structures. The second is the Political Oversight Council, which is the main structure that is managing how we manage the GPU. And again, we want to ensure that there's an urgent meeting of the GPU partners so that we can be able to sit down, refine areas of ravages that we are coming across. But the third part is that we are re-looking at our dispute resolutions mechanism and looking at what we can do to ensure that where there are gray areas that arise from time to time, we've got the mechanism to be able to deal with those areas. But this does not mean that the ANC is second-guessing its position in the GPU. Our position is very firm as the ANC, and it is a position that we are in the GPU with the other parties, and we are paying respect to those parties. We equally expect those parties to pay respect to the ANC, and that none amongst our partners in the GPU can use the GPU against one another and weaponize the position they hold. Hence, therefore, it will not be acceptable to the ANC to have any of the MECs who would weaponize a position that they occupy because of the ANC as well, amongst others. So the ANC is very clear on that, but those are matters that we think we need to iron out as partners in the GPU.
Thank you, Baba Ndiema. I know that there will be follow-ups, but let me take the second set of hands and then we'll come back for follow-ups. Yes, man, yes. Then you're number 2. You're number 3, you'll be the 4th one. Then we'll come back for follow-ups. Thank you. You may proceed.
From Vision Africa. I just wanted you to expand on this issue with the GPU, where we are seeing a war of words now between the ANC Youth League and a member of the DA being Francois Rogers. And in your statement, you just read something very short about how you feel about what's currently happening. But essentially, what came out of whatever meeting that Rogers was at over the weekend in Kokstad was that he would be placing the Department of Transport under administration because of some irregularities that were picked up within the scholar transport bidding process. Now, have you looked at those allegations that he's put forward, and what are the discussions around that? And mind you, this is not the first time where we see MECs who are from the ANC and their departments have come, in the spotlight in regards to irregularities within the department. So your response to this?
Right, thank you. Yes.
From the SABC. My question is more or less the same as my colleague Umabuhle. It is with regards to the ANC run departments that have currently come under fire. Has the ANC or is the ANC investigating all these allegations that are coming up of irregularities and the so-called fraud? And the second one is just a confirmation. You said that there are processes, you're finalizing processes to appoint a new mayor at Impenje. Now, there are rumors. I just wanted to confirm the rumors if this new mayor is Urasil Umabuhle.
Right, number 3.
Thank you. My name is Sandile Mota. I report for the Mail and Guardian. Just a quick one on the upcoming regional conferences elective conferences, there was a notion among certain regions that perhaps it would have been better for for certain conferences not to be held, specifically because of what happened during the 2024 general elections, where obviously the ANC suffered a heavy blow, electoral blow in these particular regions. Are you getting that sense from some of the branches of some of the regions that perhaps let's not hold these conferences because it might divide the ANC ahead of these crucial elections in 2026? The second question is almost interrelated to what my colleagues have already asked. Recently, the Minister of Finance issued an instruction to the Provincial MEC for Finance, ordering him to submit municipalities that were not doing well in terms of performance. Of course, those municipalities are being considered for sanctioning. Has that come to the party, and what does the ANC respond in as far as that is concerned?
Number 4.
umasipala impenze kwaDukuza isemkhanya kude umuntu obukela kude uzobona sengazuthi ANC kudulile yamadlula lembango khona labo masipala impenze kwaDukuza sekunesikhathi eside azikho imeya laphana umkhanya kude sekunesikhathi eside umasipala ama-ofisi kamasipala ezokhonjana evaliwe kungazukuyo khona i-ANC ikuphi ngempela ekwenzayo akhona ama-timelines mhlawumbe akhona ukuthi
Okay, no, thank you, Baban DM. No, actually, I had said that we'll take the second set of hands. After second set of hands, we'll then take follow-ups. It was basic. Okay. No, it's fine. It's fine, Pungul. You'll be the first one in the next set of hands. You are number 1. In fact, let me just take those hands. You are number 2. Even follow-ups. Okay. Thank you. So those are the last 2 hands. Or you're still coming back for follow-up? Okay, thank you. Let's have that. That's fine. Let's just deal with what we have now. Then we'll see whether we do that. Number 1, NDM is not respond.
Okay, that's fine. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Let me start with the question that was raised, which is referred to, is paraphrased as the war of words between the ANC Youth League and the MEC of Finance in the province, Mr. Francois Rogers. Look, I think the first thing that we should be referring to, people are actually running a clip which was about the issue of the budget. It is now common cause that the budget was passed. Now, of course, the ANC Youth League is an organization of young people that is vibrant, that is always will actually pick on issues and raises issues. But what has been the situation is that a budget in this province was passed. Now, I think we should not have the scaremonger tactics being brought to try and sanitize what's not supposed to be sanitized. We can't be sidetracked. And we refuse as the ANC to be sidetracked. So that issue is, in fact, a non-issue, because the issue that was raised by the ANC Youth League was overtaken by time because the budget was passed and the ANC voted for the budget. Remember, the numbers are so tight in the legislature. You needed to have 41, and you got that 41, and you passed the budget. So what is the fuss about that? Let us not be sidetracked, and we will refuse to be sidetracked. But let's come back to what is the posture of the MEC, and what are we taking? Anyone who have listened to that clip, you don't have to be a friend of the ANC, an ally of the ANC. An MEC who says he does nothing, and I'm saying it in paraphrasing, he does not deliver houses, he does not deliver infrastructure, he does not actually look at any other thing that takes services to the people of this province. His is to look for the bank accounts of the province. Now he then says he's going to be using power to frustrate those who really must deliver. And you are delivering on the basis of a highly constrained fiscal framework. Highly constrained. Now, you are telling your own party that you already have placed the Department of Education, and we are simply saying we are accounting to nobody. We are not accounting to the ANC. We are not accounting to the IFP. We are not accounting to the NFP. Yet you are in a government that actually has made you to be MEC through these other parties. No MEC is a freelancer in government. And all MECs have got individual and collective responsibilities. They account to the Executive Council. First and foremost, they account to the Premier, but they also account to the Executive Council. And in a coalition arrangement like the Government of Provincial Unity, you account to each other because you are there because of the others that have given you the power and the strength for you to be there. Now, you can't have 11% and you still claim that that is like you had 50% plus one. Now, our point is, if you have got, because what is this one? Is the political targeting of ANC-run departments. You are actually referring to MECs of ANC, previous MECs of the ANC who were MECs of finance. That you, because you have found power in the law, you must then use that power. And you are actually telling people, you are not even saying, I've now discovered this. You are now going and telling your party that in the next few days, this Department of Transport is the next. It is clear political targeting. Now, if there are issues in any department, we're not averse that Treasury must probe those investigations, those allegations. But you can't probe when you already have a verdict. If you are going to be probed, but you already have a verdict, what the outcome is going to be, the ANC simply says you are now manipulating and abusing the positions of power that vest in your office. It does not vest within you as an individual. It vests in the office you occupy. So I think we are very clear. If there are any difficulties with any program of government, there has to be a proper investigation like it would be. But you can't go and be able to simply indicate that you are going to be targeting which departments first. The second, we can't generalize and talk about irregularities. Anyone who have seen the budget of this province, you know that the Department of Education is the biggest department. And it is the biggest employer. It is the biggest in the education sector. And naturally, there is quite a lot that is there which are historical underfunding that happens. That is why at some point you had the unions that met with the MEC, but they also have met with the Honorable Premier to dealing with issues which are issues of norms. They are not the creation of an ANC. They are a historical issues that must be actually dealt with by the collective in government. And therefore, again, when you deal with that, don't make those and personalize those and make those as if they are the issues of the MEC. Where there may be issues you need to probe them, but do so with a fair and open mind, not being prejudiced. Now, we have spoken about Impandla, and we are very clear that our mayor was removed. When our mayor was removed, the ANC naturally has to look and assess the situation. We have done a lot of consultation, including being there on the ground. We went and met with all of the branches, and the officials of the province were there in persons. We officiated in those branch meetings because we needed to take stock of what is the situation on the ground. And after doing that, we then made a decision. And our decision is clear. We want to bring an outside person who will then come in, who will then be able to, first and foremost, would have the confidence of our caucus, but would also be someone who can lead the Impandla municipality. We will not simply have a knee-jerk reaction in this, and that this process has got a waterproof in the sense that the national leadership of the ANC will also be part of this process. Now, the allegation around that certain regions or branches are saying their regions should not be go to conferences because we did not perform well during the May 29 general elections. I just presented to you, ladies and gentlemen, a roadmap that was adopted by the PTT this past Monday unanimously. Now, we are unanimous in saying we now have got a roadmap. Of course, every regional conference, for it to be able to be allowed to go ahead, first of all, it must have a verification report that is issued by the Secretary General's office and the Secretary General himself in this instance. And secondly, you should then have at least 70% of the branches in that region whose BGMs or BPGMs have collated and therefore they have nominated as per the requirement of the constitution of the ANC. So it is when a region has met those very clear criterion, which are part of conferences that are set up by the office of the SG and the National Executive Committee, that a regional conference will take place. So we will be assessing the situation. These are our targets, these are our milestones, and therefore we must go to ensure that we try and meet them. And that is why we're announcing them publicly. So we're very clear that we want to go to take all regions to conferences, and therefore we would like to work hard and to ensure that that succeeds. The last part, the allegations around the municipalities. I've explained the situation in Mkanyabut. I can't find where an ANC can be accused in Mkanyabut, unless amongst you, ladies and gentlemen, you never listen to us and the facts that we have just presented to you. We have been dealing with a lacuna in Mkanyabut that was man-made and self-created. Self-created in the sense that there was a Section 139 1B intervention that lapsed in April. And it lapsed because at the time when it lapsed, all of the triggers have been met by the Mkanyabut municipality. And those reports have been filed by the MEC's representatives, who actually had overseen that those triggers had been met. Then there was an attempt of a new intervention of Section 139B. That is what we say did not even see the light of day. It did not see the light of day because for that to happen, there has to be a concurrence of the National Minister of Culture. And that concurrence did not exist. It does not exist even right now. That is why Mkanyabut municipality then resolved to go to court, amongst other things. But then we had to engage, and we have been engaging as partners in the GPU to resolve this. And I think we are just within sight of resolving it. And I think I must then say here that we want to welcome, for instance, the positive attitude of the Honorable Premier in how we handled the matter of Mkanyabut. But we also want to welcome the stance of the National Minister of Culture, who then saw his wisdom made him realize that you should allow this thing to lapse. And hence we have reported that it lapsed on the 25th of July midnight, because there was no concurrence of the minister. Now, how do you blame the ANC for the malfeasance that has been created unnecessarily? How does an ANC that is a victim of this get to be blamed? You can't. Now, I've explained in Penley, I don't have to explain it. And I've explained the issue of Nongoma. If anyone cared to listen, in Nongoma, if one of the parties that were part of the coalition switches off their own allegiance to the other side, even when you have given them your own ESCO seats, so they decide to switch to the other side, how does the ANC become liable for that? It can't be. It is a victim, and therefore we're simply then raising those issues in context. So I'm hoping we're very clear, but we want to say overall to the people of KwaZulu-Natal, the ANC knows what is the next step. We've got the clarity of vision. We know what are the issues, and we're focusing on those issues. And clearly what is uppermost is to serve our people at all times and in all instances, that ANC deployees in municipalities, in the legislature, in the National Assembly, but also ANC leaders must know that we exist and exist for one thing and one thing only, is to serve our people. And that's what the ANC exists for, is to serve our people.
DM, a quick one, if possible. Can we switch to isiZulu?
Okay.
Yeah. Sizobuya ezandleni ngenzela nje ukuthi singene lesigaba.
Sifuna ukusho ukuthi sesichazile kwistatement esethe sesikhiphile. Oqala sichaze ukuthi ziningi izinto iANC esizenzile kusukela iyanikezwa umsebenzi ubuholo obuphezulu bukazolonke mhla zingama-25 kuNhlolanja kulonyaka. iANC ke kuleso sigaba isikwazile ukuthi ngoba bekunezigaba ezintathu zomsebenzi wethu. Isigaba sokuqala sesisenzile, manje sesimaphakathi nesigaba sesibili sesiya ngasekupheleni. Isigaba sesithathu nesokugcina, isigaba ke lesi sithi manje sesimisa izimiso zesikhashana kumagatsha eANC. Kulezo zimiso sizozimisa lapha amagatsha eANC okutholakala ukuthi awasekho kahle noma awasekho ngaphansi kokulawula komthethosisekelo, they are out of their term of office. Ngale kwaloko kulesi sigaba futhi sibhekane nokumiswa kwezakhiwo zokhetho njengoba sibhizi silungiselela ukhetho la ngonyaka ozayo ohulumeni basekhaya njengombutho wesizwe. Kodwa futhi simemezela ukuthi iANC isikhiphe manje umhlahlandlela wayo ozosisa ezinkonfeni zezifunda uphinde futhi usise enkonfeni yesifundazwe. Lezo zinkonfa zonke zizoba ngenyanga kaLwezi uNovemba kulonyaka. Yingakho ke sithi kumalunga eANC kuwo wonke amagatsha ombutho wesizwe awahamba uvuselelo ubulungu bawo, awahamba yokuba yingxenye yokwenza ukuba izakhiwo zombutho zisebenze ngendlela okuyiyo. Futhi siphinda futhi kulesi statement sethu sikhipha isexwayiso ikakhulukazi emalana nokuthi kunomhlangano okuthiwa ubizwe namhla eMpandla, ukuthi lo mhlangano awugunyaziwe ubuholi bukaKhongolose. Yinoma yiphi ilunga likaKhongolose nalabo abaseka umbutho wesizwe abazoya kulo mhlangano kufanele bazi ukuthi kungenzeka babhekane nokuqondiswa kwezigwegwe okungase mhlambe phakathi kwabo kube ukuthi ubulungu babo siyabumisa besikhashana ngalesikhathi sisaphenya. Yingakho sithi amalunga ethu abangasihlanganisi nezinto eziphambene nomthethosisekelo wombutho wesizwe. Okugcina ke sikushoyo ukuthi sifisa ukuthi njengombutho wesizwe abantu bakwaZulu-Natal bazi ukuthi uANC ukhonela into eyodwa kweziningi. Eyokuqala yokuthi ube kanye nabo sikhathi zonke. Eyesibili yokuthi ubhekane nezidingo zabo naloko abakumele. ngoba u-ANC wawakhelwe phezu kwesisekelo sokuba ube yiphalamende labantu nokuthatha izidingo nezinhlupheko zabantu. Simele lokho-ke njengombutho wesizwe. Yingakho sizothi silungise izakhiwo zethu kodwa sibe singakhohliwe izidingo zabantu. Yingakho nohlelo esithe i-6 weeks program la khona zonke izifundazwe KwaZulu-Natal eziwu-11 ama-regions e-ANC azobe nezinhlelo eziye ebantwini eziya kumalunga ka-ANC nobuholi obukazwelonke buzobe bukhona lapho nobuholi besifundazwe buzobe bukhona lapho. Yingakho sithi wonke umuntu oyilunga likakhongolose manje akake akhohlwe yilaba bayizimbangi zethu, sifocuse kubantu naloko esikumele njengombutho wesizwe. Okwesibili-ke nokugcina sifuna ukusho ukuthi sifuna ukuzwakalisa ukungenami kwethu ngamazwi ngesiqophamazwi esisibonile lapho khona lo ongungqongqoshe wezezimali lapha KwaZulu-Natal umnumzana uFrancois Rogers ezwakalisa ukuthi uzosebenzisa amandla nje akhe ngokuba ungqongqoshe ukuba enze ukuthi ama-department abaphethwe umbutho wesizwe angakwazi ukusebenza. Uze uyasho ukuthi yena akenzi lutho, akalethele abantu ingqalasizinda, akakho izindlu, akalethi manzi, akaletho zidingo kubantu, kodwa njengoba ungqongqoshe wezezimali uzosebenzisa igunya lokuthi athathe umnyango wezokuthutha awufake ngaphansi kwakhe njengoba sekwenzile ngomnyango we-education okuthiwa under administration ngokwe Provincial Finance Management Act, i-PFMA. Ngawo kwesithi hayi akufanele abantu abasebenza ndawonye kube khona abantu abenze njalo. Yingakho futhi sizwakalisa ukuthi nongqongqoshe ophethe ezohulumeni basekhaya akakuyeke manje ukuthi abelokhu ekhomba i-ANC nomasipala abaphethwe i-ANC ngenjumbana nangomuno ebe ezungeza i-ANC kanti uhlezi lapha ngoba i-ANC phela iyingxenye kalohulumeni. Umuzungeza umuzi wamanye amadoda kanti sikanye nawe wenza ukuthi sibuze ukuthi ufuna kwenzakaleni kulohulumeni ukubambisana wesifundazwe saKwaZulu-Natal. Yingakho kwesisithi hayi kuzohlanganiswa laba siphathe kanye nabo uhulumeni zilungiswe lezi zinto ngoba akufanele kube nabantu abenza kanje sibambisene ukwakha uhulumeni ngoba okubalekile kulethela abantu bakwaZulu-Natal yidingo. Okubalekile ukuthi abantu bakwaZulu-Natal bahlale ngaphansi kwezimo zokuphepha nokuzinza. Yiloko esikubekayo njengombutho wesizwe.
Siyabonga. Siyabonga kakhulu ndiyema. 1 2 you'd be number 3. Angithi siyavumelana ukuthi this is the last set of hands. Ngizela nje ukuchecka. Okay, kulungile. Asi Okay. Oza yeah.
Sikabaqala ngokuxolisa ukuxoza uma ngibuza kakhulu mhlawumbe ngizomisa mhlawumbe lezo zibuzo namhlanje
Ngenotabeni phungu. Ngenotabeni.
aqala lapha nje u-MEC uRogers. So befuna ukubuza ukuthi uma ngimzwile esho ukuthi vele ukhuluma u-MEC bese singacheka ukuthi ipolitiki ingena kanjani uma ngabe u-MEC as u-MEC waka-finance icabanga usibikela thina lokho bentela ukuthi kunenkinga leminyaka ewu-2 so uba nenkinga kwaleminyaka ewu-2 uyabona ukuthi okay sekumele abafake administration to save our taxes. What is wrong with that? Le minyango le engibalayo sekuvele kaningana ukuthi okay kunenkinga yokukhishwa kwamathenda, right? So kunenkinga inkinga yokudla okuphakelwa ngane ezikoleni. Kunenkinga nakhona ngiyafisa mhlawumbe ukuthi i-ANC iphawula khona ngoba le ndaba sixoxa kakhulu emphakathini kodwa singasiza ukuthi mhlawumbe i-ANC ithini nje ukuphawula kwayo ngensolo ezingaka ukuthi eminyangweni ono-MEC unkuthazo wakhe uphakudla ezikoleni endaba ngokusho kwensolo kunogcobhana ngokuthola kwalo tender cace kahle ukuthi yathola kanjani whether it was fair or what. Kunenkinga lapho.
All right.
2 transport nakhona kuthiwa kunesikole transport tender okuthola khona akangahambe kahle la SCM la. So then if MEC waka-finance is safeguarding our interest tell and say, no, listen, let me go to what is politics in that?
Okay.
Okay, I'm aware that. Then
Towards closure.
Sorry?
Yeah, I'm saying towards closure.
Close.
Yeah, ngisho towards closure.
Close.
Usuphetha mna wethu. Okay, qhubeka. Yeah, yes, two. Okugcina lo. Yeah. Okay, sure. Afterwards. Thank you. Number 2.
Okay. So the question I'm going to ask is more based on the national leadership. What's our thoughts regarding the issue or the decision of the former President Thabo Mbeki from withdrawing to the national dialogue? What does it say regarding or let me put it like this, does it compromise the constitution of the party? Thank you.
Yes, well.
I think mine is a comment because it's something that baffles me. Kundiyema usisuke wabuza ngala right wabuzisisa ukuthi kukhona yini enikwenza ngale nkinga ifikhona levezwe we-MPC we-finance angizwanga answer bekungaba kuhle ukuthi sithole ukuthi kahle lama allegations lawa wabekile yena-ke ungqongqoshe fungula to safeguard imali yama-taxpayers kukhona yini okwenziwa yi-ANC because kubuye ngathi kune-vacuum la i-ANC ngathi iya-reactor ayekho proactive i-ANC izolindela ukuthi uminister wakakhotha kube nenkinga ibisiyaphendula izolindela ukuthi u-MEC waka-finance kube nama-problems i-ANC siya-react ayikho yona proactive ukuthi itshele phela as i-leader ye-society yazise abantu now and again ukuthi yazi ukuthi inkinga ethinta i-nutrition lapha kwa-education as the ANC because these are ama-deployees e-ANC if kunokungabazane ngalawo ma-deployees e-ANC kuba nokungabazane lwe-organization as a whole I think bengacacisa nje uNDM ukuthi yini eyenziwa i-ANC fine sekutholakele ukuthi or useshilo umnumzane lo uRogers ukuthi khona into eyenzakalayo yini ke eyenziwa i-ANC sewe bakhulumisana yini no minister waka-education uSipho ukuthi lezi zinto ekhulunywa ngazo as i-ANC sina i-deploy yethu ilaphana sithe nayo into si-investigative.
And no, so we get the gist. No, we get the gist. It's a follow-up, right? Okay, yes, ma.
Yeah, follow-up related to that, because my
Yeah.
answer wasn't question. I wanted to know if have you seen the allegations that have been put forward with regards to the scholar transport tender? Have you seen what are you doing about it?
Just to be clear, allegations from whom? Because it's
The scholar transport
right.
tender process.
Yes.
This is where the utterances came from this weekend from Bato, that there is mismanagement and irregularities with regards to that bidding process.
All right. All right. DM, I think it's a question that we did not respond to, which talks to what are we doing with the allegations. Okay. Then, it's literally the same question in different context.
Okay. Let me be very clear. We have said this and we are going to be repeating it. We will welcome any investigation where allegations are made and where there are bona fide allegations, because we believe that the government should then be able to test any claims of wrongdoing or purported wrongdoing or perceptions of wrongdoing. The ANC has no issue with that, no qualms with that. But the ANC has to have a qualm, and we can't be naive. It's not a question of an MEC that goes and calls a press conference in his capacity as MEC to tell the people of KwaZulu-Natal. It's an MEC who goes to a political meeting of the DA in a full regala of a political party, unless you have not seen them. Those who are just making the claims. Yeah, fine. If you have seen, if you are genuine, you are not going to be able to go to a political party meeting and then start saying you account to nobody. You don't account to the ANC. You don't account to the IFP. You don't account to the NFP. And then you then come back and you simply then use this thing, which is clearly a politically machination. Now, our stance is therefore, first and foremost, we are simply saying, with regard to the issue of the scholar transport, I must premise that by saying there is a separation between the party and the state. We're not infusing that. The ANC can't be sitting here at Summer House and then be running all departments, and therefore we rely on our employees so that they can actually feed us. But on the scholar transport, it is common cause that there are people who have taken the issue of scholar transport to court. Now, that matter is not now a matter that the MEC can do anything and probe it, because it's now a matter that is sub judice before court. And we have been briefed about the challenges that actually led to that scholar transport going to be taken to court. Now, we must wait for the processes because there is a separation of powers. There is the executive, there is the legislature, and there is the judiciary. So it is important that the ANC, where allegations are made, and I've said this publicly, we call our own employees to come to count the ANC because there's an internal ANC process. So the ANC is not simply not interested, is interested in ensuring that where our employees have been deployed in government, where there are issues that they are able to brief the ANC. So we have been briefed with the issues, for instance, relating to some of the procurement process. Remember, these are not MECs who deal with procurement. The law does not allow an MEC to interfere with the procurement process. So in a scholar transport, procurement is done by the department, and any political executive authority is forbidden to interfere with procurement processes. Now, we have been briefed with the NSNP program, the school nutrition program, because we have asked for that process. And there is an internal process of looking at all of those matters. Now, the ANC does use accountability on its own employees. But when we have internal process, and I've said this with one of the newsroom that I was being interviewed, Babu Plus, that an internal process of the ANC cannot become a public process of the ANC. If the ANC decides to actually then conduct its own internal process in the public domain, we may as well say to the employees, go and explain yourself. And therefore, that is what we would do. But an ANC internal process must actually be able to look at the facts and have the decorum, but also be able to deal with issues. I was an MEC for 17 years, and I was a member of legislature for 22 years. And in those instances, the ANC from time to time would call me and simply sit down and would discuss matters of how we were to deal with issues. And that is how the ANC ordinarily operates. So I think there is no allegation that the ANC is oblivious. When things happen, the ANC is nowhere to be found. No, we call it. But we must actually have a separation. We can't, when there is now a government process and simply want to dwarf that internal government process when there is a separation of between the party and the state. We should respect the government processes as well. Now, the issue of the withdrawal from the national dialogue, there are foundations that have withdrawn. We can't single out one foundation, because if we do so, they have withdrawn because there are issues. And it is now common cause that there is a process of engagement with those foundations. And this is a citizen-led process. It is not led by any one political party. It is a citizen-led process. And therefore, that is why the steering committee and the outcome of the recent meeting of the National Dialogue has now allowed the processes that will go down to the ground, to the 50,000 wards, so that citizens of this country can be part in the reshaping of the next phase of our democracy for the next 30 to 40 years. Now, of course, we must continue to engage, and we will continue to engage with all South Africans, irrespective of their political leaning, and therefore ensure that all of us are part in shaping a future of our dreams as South Africans. So we want to say, the ANC, our understanding is that the platform is opened even for those that may have withdrawn at this stage, to be able to rejoin the national dialogue. And as the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, because I cannot speak about KwaZulu-Natal, is that we will encourage all the people of this province to take seriously the processes of the national dialogue and to participate at all levels, to have their say, to contribute on the 9 thematic areas that have been identified and the 3 critical pillars of the national dialogue. That is what the ANC is advocating. And already we started when we engaged with our sectors in this province to be able to plant those seeds that all of us must participate and contribute. I think I have answered some of the issues. In particular, I don't want to go back to belabor the point. Well, if anyone is safeguarding anyone's interest, and they go to a political party meeting and they safeguard your interest in a party political meeting, it's your choice, my brother. We wouldn't say it is applicable to all South Africans and all people of this province. But if someone, therefore, uses his position, his or her position as an incumbent, and decides to come forward in that position, then that is a person that has taken a liberty to talk to the people of this province in his or her position as an incumbent. But if you go to a platform of your political party, your political grandstanding, only those who don't see or refuses to see will not see. But the rest of us shall see.
Even if you're talking about things that we see.
Yeah. Well, if you see them and you see them from the...
but we have a way of handling the meeting. If you can allow that,
Yeah.
I will appreciate it, so that we have a smooth sailing. You may end up accusing us of not taking decisions. It's part of taking decisions to arrive at a stage where we can safely say that we have answered to the best of our ability. Those that who still want to engage, we still have time. We will have that 10 to 15 minutes just to respond to those burning questions that people may want to advance. We are free to do so. Thank you very much, colleagues, for being with us today. Ningapheli umoya, siyajabula kakhulu kuba nani, siyabonga kakhulu. We adjourn this briefing.